Why are video games fun? Why do we get hooked on them? And how can we make other aspects of life feel the same way? We're going to analyze the concepts of progression, effort reward match, pattern recognition, strategy, challenge skill match, agency, meta progression, and enjoyment, so we can see that in reality, everything is a game. Video games are enjoyable. The good ones anyway. I think we can all agree on that. But why? What is it about them that makes them so fun, sometimes to the point of even becoming psychologically addictive? Who is behind the controller or keyboard? You, a person. What is perceiving everything about the game? Your brain. What recognizes patterns, reacts, strategizes, discovers synergies, releases dopamine, and feels a sense of accomplishment? Again, it's your brain. There is nothing exclusive to a video game that makes it fun. It's human psychology. The problem is we don't see life as a game. We attempt to escape the real world for just a bit by diving into a virtual one. But if we step back and think for a little bit, we can take some knowledge and ideas from the virtual world to change our perception of the real world and what we're capable of. When you turn to a video game to escape or avoid uncomfortable feelings, it doesn't feel like a big deal because it's just this once, or I'll deal with insert thing you need to deal with today, tomorrow. But you keep doing it just this once, and tomorrow ends up being next year, and you still haven't confronted your problems. Imagine not using a game as a means to escape or ward off anxiety and getting to enjoy the game in the purest sense, like you used to do as a kid. Imagine video games enhancing your real life, not detracting from it, and real life reciprocating and enhancing your gaming experience. Feeling fulfilled in both. Excited to play games after a good day of work improving yourself, and even while gaming, excited to get back to the real world the next day. So how can we turn anything into a video game? The structure of a game. Great games are structured in a way for human psychology and our reward pathways to enjoy them. Some companies, especially recently with the explosion of microtransactions, manipulate human psychology in a dark way purely to squeeze more money out of their customers. This is the dark side of manipulating human psychology. Teaching someone how to play the game through slowly introducing new game mechanics and showing or hinting at how to overcome the new challenge, rather than just telling the player, light this torch and use it to burn down the brush so you can continue, is an example of a positive application of human psychology. We get psychologically rewarded for connecting the dots ourselves. The game presents the dots to us as a puzzle to solve. This is the same reason we laugh at a comedian's joke. It's much funnier when they leave out just enough for us to connect the dots ourselves, rather than explaining why it's funny to us. How could the principles of making a great video game not be based on reality? Games are made by humans for humans. This means the core principles have to be based in the way we perceive information, which means these core principles are based in reality. Since the human brain is at the root of perceiving anything, we can transfer core concepts and principles from any one thing to any other one thing. I'm sure you can think of connections you've made in the past between two different interests you have. When we spend enough time doing any one particular thing, these patterns start to reveal themselves. You can distill core principles of what makes a video game fun and apply those principles towards working out, nutrition, music, meditation, journaling, doing chores, your job, business, and more. Sure, you can't exactly have loot explosions, flashing lights, and limbs of dismembered demons flying around with ragdoll physics while you're doing the dishes, but that's not really what makes a game enjoyable. That is the quick, cheap dopamine side of things. It's the immediate fun part of the enjoyment equation, but not the entire thing. There needs to be progression, rewards that match the effort required to obtain it, pattern recognition, strategy, discovering skill/equipment/items/team choices that synergize with each other, feeling like your choices matter, a long-term goal to progress towards, paired with a sense of accomplishment when you get there, and more. You can quickly make a game unfun by throwing off just one of these principles. How fun would a game be if you were killing monsters and playing well and you lost XP every kill? Great job, you have D-leveled from level 30 to 29. Regardless of flashy graphics and engaging combat, how long would you actually play that game? Or if a story-driven single-player game builds up to this big climax and then just ends. No resolution to the story, no epic final encounter or challenge, every other component of the game could be top-notch and it would still leave you dissatisfied. Kind of sounds like Game of Thrones Season 8, doesn't it? It had a climax, I suppose, but flew through it at a million miles an hour and did not deliver. Recognizing a boss's attack pattern and learning to time your dodges, only to find out the game is bugged and the attack is impossible to avoid no matter what you do.
And he's gonna do the chin move! Unavoidable chin move! Unavoidable chin move! What the fuck?
Sounds like a surefire way to have your controller chucked at a wall. You aren't being rewarded for recognizing a pattern, and you don't feel that you have agency because no matter how well or badly you play, the outcome is the same. Game ruined. At least that part of the game anyway. Let's dive into what makes a game fun and enjoyable, and perhaps we'll see how we can apply these principles to literally anything else in life. Real-life game mechanics. This list is by no means every aspect there is of a game, but these are some of the biggest ones that jump out to me as the most meaningful. We're also not covering story elements here, just actual mechanics of gameplay. A good story, of course, mirrors life, which is why when you combine all the aspects below that make a high-quality game with a well-written story, you get a true masterpiece of a video game. The 8 principles of a great game. 1. Progression. 2. Effort-reward match. 3. Pattern recognition. 4. Strategy and synergy. 5. Skill challenge match. 6. Agency. 7. Long-term meaningful goal. And 8. Enjoyment. Notice how even this video series uses these principles. I've shown you in advance that there are 8 principles to cover, and you will have completed principles 1 and 2 by the end of this video. That's progression. I break it down into distinct, manageable chunks so that you feel rewarded, knowing that you completed 2 of the principles, rather than me rambling haphazardly on all 8 principles with no structure or distinct parts. When we progress to parts 2 through 4, be mindful as you watch or listen for how some of the other principles of a great game are being used within this video series. Principle 1. Progression. Progress and improvement can be found anywhere. As humans, we crave it. Mowing the lawn and seeing the parts that you have mowed looking much more well kept than they did before you started. Doing the dishes and seeing the possibly overflowing pile of dishes in the sink getting smaller and smaller. Completing a mission or quest in a game and progressing through the story. Or gaining a level and becoming stronger than you were before. Lifting 5 more pounds than last time and becoming stronger than you were before. Progress drives everything we do. It might sound obvious, but that's because it's so hardwired in our DNA to further improve our offspring's chance of survival. This is why we crave it. Also, just as obvious, nobody would choose stagnation or regression over progress in an area they want to improve or something that will benefit their life. Imagine a video game without progression. No completing a stage and moving on to the next, slightly more challenging one. No leveling up, no upgrades to your skills, no progression through a story. Probably wouldn't be that fun, would it? Not for very long anyway. The point here is enjoyment is partially tied to progression. This means if we can seek ways to improve and approach any task with the intent of improving, that task will become more enjoyable. Don't just mow the lawn, actively pay attention and think of ways that you could do it more effectively or get it done faster with the same quality. Do some research and test it out next time. Don't just do the dishes. Is there a faster way to get this done? How much do I need to pre-clean, if at all, and allow the dishwasher to do the rest? How can I best arrange the dishes in the dishwasher to fit the most in at one time without overfilling it and causing things to not get effectively cleaned? Don't just do a workout. Track your workouts, at least to some degree, and push yourself to beat your previous best. It might not happen every single workout, but the intent has to be there. Think critically. Can I improve my form at all? Can I push myself a little harder? Can I structure my workout more effectively or choose better exercises for my goals? Can I do a bit of research to find an answer to these questions? Principle 2. Effort-reward match. The more effort we put into something, the more we want and even expect to get out of it. This is a huge part of game design. Game devs can create different endgame activities so players have variety in their gameplay. But if most of them give you shitty rewards for your time and effort, basically nobody is going to participate in those activities. They're going to do the thing that gives them the most return on their time and effort investment, even though it's quote unquote just a game. Crazy part of this is, and as a gamer you know this is true, it doesn't even matter if those less rewarding activities are fun, or even if they are more fun than the more rewarding activity. They don't feel like they serve a greater purpose of progression, at least not effectively, so they become less enjoyable. It feels like a waste of time, and nobody wants to feel like they're wasting their precious free time. That's how powerful effort-reward match is. It takes something that was originally meant to be a fun use of our free time, like a video game, and urges us to often pick the less fun but more effective options. I get it, I fall into this all the time too. I do my best to revisit the following idea. Time you enjoyed wasting is not wasted time at all. It's important to spend time doing things you enjoy doing for the sake of doing them. This actually helps you recharge from more serious things, helps connect you to others, and allows your brain to make connections subconsciously that you could not make if you were always in work/serious/go hard mode all the time. But even if it didn't do all those things, life is meant to be lived. Life is meant to be enjoyed. Even if that activity you spent time on did nothing for you except bring you joy, then it served its purpose. There's often a middle ground too. Can I find a way to play that is kind of effective, but still really fun to me? Rather than always going straight for the top shelf of most effective way to gain XP, but incredibly boring/repetitive. It's no surprise that the best games, or even the most well-received content within a game, align this principle of effort-reward match with the most inherently fun way to play the game, and often intertwine different activities so that they offer distinct rewards from one another that are all valuable and strongly incentivizes players to partake in a variety of activities. Is there an area of your life that you are trying to put more and more time and effort into, but are getting diminishing returns? Could you put in half the time or effort and still get 90% of the result, and now use that extra time and effort towards something else? Is there a game you're currently playing that you unintentionally sucked the fun out of because you are purely striving for optimal and efficient? Can you think of a way to play the game that would make it more enjoyable for you while still making decent progress or being decently effective? Maybe you're casually playing a fighting game and you always pick the best character in the game so you can win, even though you don't enjoy that character. Taking Super Smash Bros. For instance. Don't pick Steve if you don't like playing Steve in Smash. If your goal is to have fun anyway. If you have the most fun playing Ganondorf, like myself, play Ganondorf, even if he's the worst character in the game. Or maybe you really like playing Yoshi, who is a high-tiered character but not at the top. Now you can have fun and be a serious contender competitively, with lots of practice of course. That is how you balance fun and effectiveness. You can apply this to the way you approach fitness too. Say your primary goal is currently to build muscle, or maybe it's to burn fat. Box jumps are not at all effective at either of those things. But let's say you just like doing box jumps. Go ahead and throw them in at the beginning of your workout. Do a couple sets of 5 box jumps. That's not going to negatively impact your workout, and in fact, it might help a tiny bit by waking up the nervous system, and it only took 2 minutes to do. Then you can move on to the actual workout that's going to move you closer to your goal. Are the box jumps optimal? No. But it didn't take long, it didn't take away from your workout performance, and it made you enjoy the workout experience more. We will come to find out that finding ways to enjoy a process is optimal, because it means you will be more consistent, you will try harder, and you will keep doing that thing for years and decades because you like to do it. But more on that when the time comes. A boss launches a special attack at you. Unsure of how to evade or block this attack, you take moderate damage. Here it comes again. It hits you again, but you notice that it's a low sweeping attack, and he performs a unique animation just before the attack begins. Here it comes for the 3rd time. The attack animation begins, warning you to prepare. As soon as you see him begin to swing his blade, you jump, successfully avoiding the attack. That is pattern recognition. It feels pretty good when you have a gaming moment like that, doesn't it? It's because you learned. You connected some dots. Then you took what you learned and applied it almost immediately. and you were positively rewarded for it. Or more precisely in this case, you at least avoided punishment. While fear is a powerful emotion and drives much of our behavior, especially if we default to our more primal responses, positive reinforcement is an equally powerful force. When we do something that is positively reinforced with our desired outcome or some other reward, it stands out in our minds and it gets baked into our memory. Our brain associates the action that we did with the reward and the positive feelings surrounding it and says, yeah, more of that, please. Even though you might have messed up that part of the battle 30 times in a row, as soon as you get it right the first time, given that it wasn't out of sheer luck, meaning the first time you did it correctly and you know why and how you did it, it becomes a lot easier to keep getting it right. That's because that one time you did get it right, your brain took a snapshot of exactly how it looked and felt. It's true that being aware of what happened the other 29 times it didn't work also helps, and it can sometimes lead you to success by process of elimination. But this process simply helps lead you to getting it done right once, which is really the thing that gets burned into your memory. Pattern recognition feels good because we earned it, and we now feel more in control of the outcome of the situation. That second part is key. If we recognize the aforementioned attack pattern, dodge it seemingly perfectly, and are somehow still hit by the move, it's fucking infuriating. Either there's some bug in that section of the game or someone was lazy with designing hitboxes. This in itself is a micro example of the effort reward match mentioned in part 1. We put in effort to recognize the attack pattern, we expect a reward. If the reward is there, it feels good. If it's not, it feels bad, man. Where else do you notice yourself using pattern recognition in your life? What activities or areas of your life do you think you could make better use of pattern recognition? What activities or areas of your life could you pay more attention to so that you can even notice patterns to begin with? Perhaps by keeping a food journal for a week, writing down everything you eat and drink, you might notice that every time you eat a certain food, you seem to digest it well, it gives you good energy, and your stomach feels light. Pattern recognized. Maybe you notice how much better your mood is after you exercise compared to before. Pattern recognized. The more positive connections you can make to an action, the easier it is to reinforce and get yourself to keep doing it without feeling like you have to force yourself to do it. And a quick aside on positive reinforcement. Oftentimes when we focus on don't do X thing, our attention gets drawn to the very thing we're trying not to do. Don't miss this free throw. Don't get hit by this attack. It's the whole don't think about a pink elephant thing. I guarantee you just thought of a pink elephant even though I said not to do it. Seriously, stop thinking about the pink elephant. Instead of drawing your attention to the negative or what you don't want, don't miss this free throw, think of the thing you do want to happen. Sink this free throw right down the middle of the net. If you want someone to change their behavior, don't yell at them every time they do what you don't want them to do. Instead, draw as little attention to it as possible or outright ignore it. When they do something you want them to do, make a big deal about it and make sure they noticed, that you noticed, and that you care. Their attention will be drawn to doing more of that positive thing, and they will naturally do the negative behavior less because they aren't even thinking of it. Negative reinforcement and fear can work, at least on the surface and usually only temporarily. But it's a survival mechanism. It comes from a place of scarcity, fear, and insecurity. Positive reinforcement is more resilient. It's a thriving mechanism. It comes from a place of abundance, love, and trust. Principle 4, strategy and synergy. Strategy and synergy are probably my two favorite concepts when it comes to video games. They are closely intertwined concepts, though not entirely the same. Strategy is the more overarching of the two terms, and is simply your overall plan to achieve a desired outcome. Oftentimes, planning your strategy becomes an entire game within itself that you play before, during, and after the actual game you're playing. We're going to use Pokemon here as an example. Let's say you built a team designed with the overall strategy of stall, using defensively oriented Pokemon to absorb attacks and slowly whittle the opponent down through passive damage. Or perhaps you're playing an RTS and your strategy against a particular opponent is to harass and rush them so they are pressured into reactive and defensive play and struggle to carry out their own intended strategy. In terms of action RPGs or MMOs, you can even think of your character build or even team composition as strategy. You are constructing your team or designing your build in a specific, directed way to achieve the desired outcome of victory in a battle, raid, etc. If you have no strategy, i.e. no thought went into your choices of gear, skills, team composition, and so on, you're probably not going to do very well. But what makes for a good build or a good team composition? This leads us into the second concept, synergy. It's hard to talk about strategy without synergy. Synergy is a large part of what makes a strategy good. Synergy occurs when you combine two or more independent things and they produce a greater effect than the sum of their separate effects. A simple way to think of synergy is 1 + 1 = 3. We can look at another Pokemon team archetype to see synergy in action. Let's say we want to create a Sandstorm team, a team that revolves around having the Sandstorm weather effect on the battlefield. So, our strategy is probably to find a way to create a Sandstorm and use it to our advantage. Also, one of our favorite Pokemon is Excadrill, who just so happens to have an ability that doubles his speed while in a Sandstorm. That's perfect. Now we just need a way to activate a Sandstorm. Well, there simply is a move called Sandstorm that will do this. Excadrill can learn it, but he is meant to be dishing out damage at high speed, not wasting a turn, setting up a Sandstorm, and possibly getting KO'd in the process. We could teach Sandstorm to a different Pokemon, but giving up a turn in Pokemon is huge, so we want to avoid doing so at all costs. In comes Tyranitar's big, fat, rocky ass. He just so happens to have the Sandstream ability, which immediately activates the Sandstorm as soon as he enters the battlefield. No setup turn required. This is insanely useful in its own right, and then you factor in that Tyranitar is an insanely powerful Pokemon itself, back in the day anyway. Your Sandstorm strategy just got a lot better by having both of these Pokemon together on the same team. Both can be good in their own right, but they both make each other better and make the team better as a whole, compared to if you only used one or the other. That, my friend, is synergy. And it's not just found in Pokemon or just in video games, it is everywhere. If you can come up with a strategy or a plan for something, there are synergies to be found. It just takes some time, critical thinking, and experimentation to find them. You can synergize your nutrition. You can synergize your exercise program. You'll likely find that doing a little bit of conditioning and mobility alongside lifting weights will get you far better results than if you only did one or two of these things. You can synergize the way you work. You can synergize your gaming. You can synergize all of these areas of life with each other. Your life as a whole becomes greater than the sum of each individual part. Much like an action RPG character is limited in equipment slots, so are we limited in our time, attention, and energy. This is why searching for synergies is so important, so we can get more out of these precious limited resources. Forget about just balancing your life, work, family, fitness, hobbies, and so on. You can make aspects of your life enhance one another. You can take lessons you learn from a video game or any other hobby and apply that lesson into your work, fitness, or anything else. You can also do it the other way around, using a lesson learned in work or fitness and applying it to a video game. When we live our lives in this way, interconnecting all the things that make us who we are, rather than trying to keep them separated, our life becomes greater than the sum of its individual parts. Our life becomes synergized. When a challenge you are faced with is well below your skill level, the challenge does not excite you. You are bored. When a challenge you are faced with is far above your skill level, the challenge feels impossible. You are uncomfortable, anxious, and afraid. When the challenge you are faced with meets your skill level, or is ever so slightly out of reach, you feel energized. You feel excited. You feel enjoyment. You feel an intense focus. You can't think about anything else but the present moment because it requires your full attention. But you're also not fearing failure because you know you can do it. This is what's called flow. Flow is a concept developed by author and psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. And yes, this is how you spell it. Think about any video game you've ever played. Think about some of your favorite challenging moments you've had to overcome. I guarantee you were in the flow state during that moment. That's why it stands out to you. It would not have been an epic or memorable moment if it was very easy for you. Likewise, if you were nowhere near the skill level, or perhaps your character was under-leveled or under-geared, required to overcome that challenge, then you did not overcome the challenge. You were likely frustrated. On occasion, you might be able to cheese your way through this kind of thing with some unintended game mechanics. Maybe you figured out a way to attack the boss once and then hide behind a wall for a few seconds so he wouldn't hit you, and proceeded to do that for the next 30 minutes until you finally brought him down. Sure, you might have won the battle, but that doesn't feel like much of an epic victory, does it? That's not really one of those favorite gaming moments that's going to stand out to you. In fact, you instantly moved that encounter from one end of the spectrum, challenge far exceeding skill, leading to anxiety and frustration, to the other. Far too easy, thus boring. So why does this even matter? Why does the relationship between the challenge and our skill level matter? Because the fun is right in the middle. The fun is when we're in that flow state. An otherwise great game can be completely thrown off by a poorly designed difficulty curve. If the game gets relatively easier as you progress, likely because your player power grows at a faster rate than the enemies you encounter get more challenging, it feels pretty underwhelming, anticlimactic, and boring. If the game gets frustratingly difficult, where every enemy one-shots you no matter your level or gear, it's just going to be a miserable experience until you say, "Fuck this," and gently set your controller down on the couch. And you definitely totally did not chuck it across the room. But those games that get it right, well, you might not even notice because you were having too much fun being in the flow state so often. And guess what? Flow state is not unique to conquering a challenging boss in a video game. It can be found in anything that you do. If something is boring to you, find a way to make it more challenging. If something is anxiety-inducing or otherwise psychologically uncomfortable, find a way to make it easier. Is working out in a public gym Monday through Friday intimidating and overwhelming? Start out by doing 2 to 3 workouts per week at home, even if you have no exercise equipment. You can always work your way up as you gain confidence, strength, and consistency. By making it easier to the point that the challenge matches your current skill level, not where you wish it was or where you want it to be someday, where it is in this very moment, you give yourself the opportunity to actually get better. Eventually, you'll be ready to do that thing that used to make you uncomfortable. Instead of banging your head against the wall over and over again, asking, "Why won't this work? Why can't I do this?" Just walk around the corner and take the stairs, one step at a time. I love the Chinese concept of Wu Wei. It roughly translates to effortless action. This does not mean don't put any effort in or don't attempt. It's closer to what Yoda told Luke.
All right, I'll give it a try.
No, try not. Do or do not. There is no try.
Trying indicates a sense of struggling and fighting against some external force, whereas effortless action, or do or do not, indicates a sense of going with the flow of the river rather than against. This is what flow state feels like. Effortless action. The feeling when effort doesn't feel hard, it feels good. Sometimes trying harder isn't the answer. Sometimes the answer is to realize that you're fighting the flow of the universe, or whatever you want to call it, and to alter your strategy or path to something that feels more natural to you, that you can stop fighting the flow and instead go with it. Where in your life do you feel like you're going against the flow of the universe? Where do you feel like you keep trying harder only for it to backfire? Where in your life do you feel you're following common advice or the advice others have given to you, but it's never felt right to you, as if you were going against the flow of your own river? This concept also ties in pretty nicely with process goals over outcome goals. We hear process versus outcome all the time, but what does that actually mean? It means setting frequent short-term goals on things you have complete control over, your efforts and actions, rather than on an outcome, i.e. winning the game. You don't win by thinking about winning the entire time. You win by executing each individual action as best as you can and being mindful of how you can do better next time. Listen to Kobe's response when asked if he hates losing more than he loves winning.
I'm neither. I play to figure things out. I play to learn.
How did you become one of those people who doesn't seem to be afraid of failing?
It doesn't exist. It's not existent. What the hell does that mean? It's a figment of your imagination. The only way it's a failure on Monday is if you decide to not progress from that. Because, if I fail today, okay, I'm gonna learn something from that failure and I'm gonna try again on Tuesday. And I fail, and I'm gonna try again on Wednesday. So,
the more you lean into process-focused goals over outcome-focused goals, the happier you'll be. And you'll actually make more progress and perform better too. Principle 6, agency. We play video games. We don't watch video games. Sure, there are cinematic and dialogue elements in many games where you do get to sit back and enjoy the show for a bit. It can be a nice breakup in gameplay, but then you get back to playing. In fact, I love cutscenes, especially in-game cutscenes, where you watch the story develop, See your character interacting and speaking with other characters, and then the game seamlessly transitions to play mode and you regain control of your character. God of War comes to mind as a series that's done this particularly well, but there are countless examples. It immerses you further into the story and the character you are playing. You really feel like you are the character you are controlling. But if the entire game was a string of cutscenes put together, it's no longer a game, it's a movie. A game is interactive. You have a controller, or a mouse and keyboard, so that you can influence the outcome of the game. We want to feel in control of that outcome, at least to a large degree. Yes, a story-based game is typically on guardrails. The story has already been written, and you are playing within that story, but you feel that your actions as the player are what led to that outcome. And while the destination is already set, the path you take to get there may look very different from someone else's, or even your path the next time you play it. You don't get to see the resolution of the story until you become skilled enough to beat the final boss. You don't even get to face the final boss until you conquer all the challenges that come before. This is agency. Feeling like you're in control of the outcome. Feeling like the choices that you make matter. This is agency on more of a macro level. If we zoom in on individual gameplay elements, we can see agency on a micro level. Let's look at individual examples of high agency, good, and low agency, bad, to see why agency matters. Character control responsiveness and smoothness. High agency. The controls feel very responsive. Your character consistently does exactly what you told them to do via inputs. The response is fast, and your character movement feels smooth and fluid. You feel in complete control of your character. Compare that to low agency. The controls do not feel responsive. Your character doesn't seem to do what you want them to do consistently. The input response seems delayed, and your character movement feels clunky and frustrating. You don't feel in control of your character. Combat systems. High agency. You need to alter your gameplay based on enemy types you encounter. An enemy with a shield requires a different strategy than an enemy without one. Weak enemies may be stunned by your strong attacks, but a large enemy is not, and thus you must deploy more of a hit and run or dodge strategy. You might need to use different types of weapons on different enemies, or simply because of the way you have built your character, you are more proficient at using a sword than, say, a mace. You feel like your choices matter because they do. You get rewarded for solving the combat puzzle by defeating enemies more efficiently, or just being able to beat them, period. Low agency. You know these kind of games. You've played at least one in your life. You can use any attack that you feel like, no matter which type of enemy you're facing, and you will win. You can just spam the same button with no thought, and you will do just as well as if you tried to perform intricate combos or use specific attacks for specific enemies. You feel like your choices don't matter because the outcome is the same no matter what. There are games out there with combat systems like this. They are not good games. Character decisions. High agency. You get to make a choice whether to befriend a particular NPC or make them your foe. If you befriend them, you gain a powerful ally. If you make them your foe, you have a chance to steal their powerful artifact for your own personal gain. This choice alters the storyline in a meaningful way and changes your gameplay experience in a unique way based on the choice you make. Low agency. When a game gives you a choice in dialogue, but the NPC responds the same way regardless of what you choose, and it has no impact on the game whatsoever. It's cute, but this is a false sense of player agency. It would be amazing to have complete agency, complete control over everything in our lives. At least it sounds amazing. But part of the beauty of life is the uncertainty. A big draw of video games is the sense of control they give you, especially when we don't feel in control of our lives as much as we want to be. There's nothing wrong with this. However, it's important to realize that the sense of control is part of what's drawing us to the game. Where do you feel you are lacking agency in your life? What can you do to give yourself at least a little bit more control over that area? There's almost always something we can do. Our perception is our reality. Can you perceive the situation in a different way that would give you more control? At the very least, make you feel in control of your feelings about the situation. Can you perceive the situation in a different way where you're okay with relinquishing the need for control? One of the most freeing things we can do is to realize we can't control everything. Focus on what you can control. Don't worry about what you can't. Take personal responsibility for what you can control, as opposed to blaming external forces. It's easier to blame external forces than it is to take personal responsibility, but it also gets you nowhere in life. Even when we're just playing a game, we like to feel like we're working towards something greater than just the moment we're currently experiencing. Every time we complete a mission or quest, defeat an enemy, or gain experience points, we are taking a step towards that bigger goal, towards a greater purpose. This is true whether it's a goal that is created by the game for you, finishing the main story of the game, for example, or it's a goal that you've created for yourself. Perhaps you want to complete the game or reach max level with every character class, or you add your own self-imposed limitations, or you want to beat the game on the highest difficulty setting. No matter how innately fun the game is, it's going to lose its sizzle if nothing has a greater meaning it's working towards. That's not to say literally everything has to serve a greater purpose. It's nice to have those moments of just for pure fun in a game, and even playing those party games, Mario Kart or Mario Party for example, just for having fun with friends and family. I do realize that there are people that play Mario Kart competitively, and they're really fun to watch, and I think it's cool. But I think for the majority of us, it's a casual game we play on occasion. This sort of fun for fun's sake is important in its own right, but this isn't what keeps many of us playing the same game for dozens, hundreds, and even thousands of hours. A goal becomes meaningful when we decide it's meaningful to us. Nobody else can tell you that your goal is unimportant. Without a long-term meaningful goal, without a greater purpose, one single workout can feel meaningless or like it's not going to accomplish much. This is why it's so powerful to start or reignite your fitness journey by doing these two things. Identify why you are going on this fitness journey to begin with. Assign a deeper meaning to it. Are you tired of feeling tired all the time? Do you struggle with keeping up with your kids or feel like you're limited in what you can do with them due to a lack of physical fitness? Do you have health issues that impact your quality of life or present serious health risks that can largely or completely be reversed through exercise and nutrition? Do you not feel comfortable in your own skin? Do you want to feel strong, look strong, and be strong? These are common examples that I've heard over the years of doing hundreds of consultations. Some of these might resonate with you, but remember, you get to define your why. Nobody else can do it for you. You will probably have more than one why. And number 2, identify a main quest to go on. A specific, meaningful goal and a plan to achieve it. Working out without a goal and plan will net you some benefit, but it's like sailing without navigation. You'll get somewhere, but probably not where you want to get to, or at best, it'll take you much longer to get there. Your why is your purpose. Your quest gives you a path to aim that purpose toward. Your why is your compass. Your quest is your map. Principle 8, enjoyment. This may be the most obvious sounding reason of all of what constitutes a great game. Of course a game is better the more enjoyable it is, right? Stay with me, there is a point to this. There's a difference between fun and enjoyment. Someone might find fishing to be an enjoyable use of their time, but a lot of fishing is simply sitting around and waiting, taking in the scenery and fresh air, enjoying the stillness, enjoying relaxing and doing nothing in particular for some of the time. Of course, there is the fun part when you do get a bite and you need to actively engage and reel in your catch. You might have fun parts of a game you're playing, where the action is intense, there's lots of flashy graphics on screen, and so on. Then you likely have other parts of the game that are enjoyable. Maybe it's a lower intensity type of gameplay where you get to just chill and enjoy the environment or music. I'll use a few of my favorite games as examples to illustrate the difference between fun and enjoyment.
God of War.
Fun, an intense combat sequence or intricate puzzle. Enjoyable, rowing the canoe through a long stretch of water, taking in the scenery and sound of the water, and the short conversations between Kratos, Atreus, and Mimir. Old school RuneScape. Fun, raids, the Hallowed Sepulchre, group or solo bossing. Enjoyable, low intensity resource collecting like woodcutting or fishing. Action RPGs. Fun, kill stuff, get loot. Enjoyable, customizing your build, upgrading and crafting items, theory crafting new builds. A great game balances periods of fun with periods of enjoyment. If everything is 100% on all the time, it loses its edge. You're probably not going to play a game for hundreds if not thousands of hours, for years on end, whether it's constant or on again off again, unless you have those periods of enjoyment within the game. In that same vein, you probably won't stick to a habit for months and years on end unless you do it in such a way that you enjoy doing it. This is why I'm for the most part against short-term, hardcore, get fit quick programs or strategies. Whether it be an insane workout program like working out for 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, or some overly restrictive diet that you plan on doing for a few months, there's a 99% chance that you won't even finish that plan anyway. I can't tell you how many times someone has told me about a restrictive nutrition plan or excessive exercise plan that they are starting, only to have it not last more than a week or two. Even if you did manage to stick to it for a few months, the rest of your life still remains. What are you going to do after you are done with this unsustainable plan? Most people haven't thought about this ahead of time. Most people go back to exactly what they were doing before and end up exactly as they were before. Remember, you are what you repeatedly do, not what you did that one time for 30 days. The only time you should even consider an intentionally unsustainable push or sprint is after you've already developed sustainable exercise and nutrition habits. This way, when you go back to what you were doing before, it's still a pretty healthy baseline. You have to establish that healthy baseline first. You'll get incredible results from this anyway. That's the secret that's become so clear to me from listening to anyone who has done something for a particularly long period of time very consistently, especially if they are very, very good at that thing. It doesn't matter what it is. Video games, music, sports, fitness, or literally any other venture or hobby you can think of. The people who stick with it for the long haul and the people that are the best have one thing in common. They enjoy doing it. That's how they keep doing it for years and decades. It's not just through force or discipline. It's because they want to keep doing it. Even in a case such as a professional athlete, they are usually not primarily driven by winning. And it's not losing either. They are driven by becoming better constantly, being the best that they can be, because they love the game and they love improvement. This is just what happens to lead to winning. What if I don't enjoy fitness, you might say? What if I'm not a fitness person? Nobody does at first. Nobody is at first. I have witnessed firsthand numerous people go from not a fitness person to a fitness person. You can do it too. An interesting thing about enjoyment is that you will often start to enjoy something more simply by continuing to do it. I can't tell you how many times I'd hear clients say something along the lines of, for the first few weeks I wasn't looking forward to my workouts. Now I can't wait to do my workout. It's a highlight of my day. By exposing yourself to it enough times and approaching it with an open mind, you will start to pick up bits and pieces that stick out to you. You'll start to see yourself improve, and that alone will make the process more enjoyable. Knowing that each workout is giving you some XP towards your next fitness level. You'll start to associate the feelings of your muscles burning and heavy breathing with self-improvement. It also helps that we naturally just feel better after exercising. Our bodies are meant to move, our lungs and heart are meant to be worked, our muscles are meant to contract. We are meant to push ourselves physically every so often. Having both long-term and short-term goals helps the enjoyment process too. I actually don't like working out a whole lot if I don't have a goal I'm aiming towards. And here I'm referring to short-term process goals, a number of reps to aim for on one set, something challenging but within my reach. This is the skill challenge match principle from part 3. This is why it's important to keep track of what you do in your workouts, so you can set a goal based on your previous performance. I'm not special in this regard. It's been repeatedly shown to improve performance when you have a clear target to aim towards. Not only does it improve performance, it makes it more enjoyable. We crave challenge. We enjoy it. At the very least, you enjoy the feeling after completing something challenging. You feel a sense of accomplishment. I hope you're starting to see how all of the 8 principles tie into one another. More importantly, I hope you see, either through the examples I've been giving throughout the series, or through your own examples you've come up with, that these principles can be applied to anything. This isn't just how you make a great game. This is how you make anything great. This is how you design anything in your life to get the most out of it. The truth is, we don't have to make life into a game. It already is one. It always has been and always will be. Most of us have just forgotten or never realized it to begin with. It's always been the other way around. Video games are based on life. We just found ways to turn things humans find fun and rewarding into pixels and controllers. Thanks for watching, and check the link in the description to get the Fitness RPG Planner 2.0. Starting your fitness journey can be daunting. Hopefully this makes it feel a little bit more like a video game. It also comes with a meal recipe library and a host of free strength training programs to help you get started.